What to do when my wife doesn't love me anymore. My name is Paul Friedman. I founded the Marriage Foundation, and I'm going to help you with this. But we got to take some things into the big picture and take some things out of the big picture. So, let's pretend that you're going, oh yeah, my wife really loves me, right? The opposite of how you're feeling now. And let's ask, and let's be dispassionate. Let's be really objective. What's making her love you? First of all, I don't think that it's that she doesn't love you anymore. I think she doesn't love how you have been treating her, right? So going back to what I just said, what are the conditions that made her quote unquote fall in love with you? And this is a very deep topic because on one level, love is between the souls. So it has nothing to do with your behavior or her behavior. That love exists. But we're human beings. We live in a body. We have a mind. We have these emotions we have to deal with. We have habits, anger, all these things. And so what happened that allowed her to open her heart to you, we're going way back before you got married, was how you treated her. Where you would say at the peak, wow, she really loves me. I've really done all of these things right. And what were those things? Those things were consideration, right? You were amazingly considerate of her feelings, of her moods, of her needs, of her desires. You cared. You were respectful in your consideration. And well, you should be. She's a human being. She has free will. It's really weird if you think about it. Although it's totally accepted in our society, it's really weird to impose upon another person's free will. And in our society, we do it all the time. But you didn't do that when you were courting her. You were really respectful of her space, of her thoughts, of her feelings. You cared. Now, maybe you made yourself care because you wanted to win her over. But the point is, from her point of view, she wasn't thinking, oh, he's just trying to win me over. You sold her on you being a person who she could depend on, who she could trust, who she could rely on to be on her side. What are you doing now? Arguing, bickering, complaining, putting her down, using your power of your male energy to subdue her. Certainly the opposite of what you did before you got married. And that's it. It's really that simple. The love is a very spiritual and deep thing. It's love. There's no way to undermine love itself because it is spiritual. It's bigger than the both of you. But your behavior that shields your heart, that comes between the two of you on that level that is most important, where you want to have intimacy. Intimacy is the connection between the two of you. And you've been blowing it with your behavior. So what do? You can't sit down and go, okay, from now on I'm going to be good. Because you can't. You have fallen into habits. Think of them as these big holes, deep holes. And you don't get out of them because you don't even work at it. It's not so easy. So here's the prescription. The prescription is make a list of all the ways in which you treated her before you got married, and alongside it, put the opposite of how you're treating her now. All those things have to change. They all have to change. How do you do it? This is tough. I used to be a divorce mediator before I started helping people with their marriages. Sure, it was 20 years ago, but man, I saw it all. And what I also saw was that counseling doesn't work. So don't think for a minute of going to counseling. And if it's reached a point where she has told you, I don't feel love for you anymore, however she put it, whether it was nicely or harsh, counseling isn't going to fix that. We get emails all the time. You know, it's a free service at the Marriage Foundation for people to write into our counselors. And we hear all the time, we've been going to counseling, or I've been going to counseling and the counselor says it's over, blah, blah, blah. Or we've been in counseling for 3 months, nothing's working. Don't go to marriage counseling. It's not effective. They don't know the first thing about marriage, to be quite honest with you. So I've written a couple of books to help people. That's the cheap way, but it's also only the way in the early stages of problems, when your marriage is starting to shake, when things aren't working. But if you're at the point where you're going, my wife doesn't love me anymore, what do? You need to do something. And I'm being really sincere with you. You cannot pussyfoot around with this. It won't work. You can't change 1 or 2 or 3 things. You need to really take hold of yourself. You need to do 2 things. One is you got to get hold of yourself, which we have a course. The Course for Men shows you how to gain control over your mind, because that's what your self is, you might say, on that level. And I teach you how to get hold of yourself, to bring yourself into compliance with what you should do, not what you want to do. In other words, you are going to change your habits. You're not going to get anywhere if you don't do that. Now, in my books, it's all laid out, but it's not dynamic enough to where I'm taking you step by step. So you have to gain control over the mind. You got to change these habits that you have fallen into, these habits of disrespect, these habits of not listening to her. And I don't mean just sitting there and listening. I'm talking about listening, honoring her free choice, her free will as a person. You know, I could go down the list of all the things that you're probably doing wrong, but you need to go down that list. You need to create that list. Just think it through. How did I behave before we got married? And then put another list. How am I behaving now? And you might say, well, but there's a balance. No, there is no balance. You signed up to love her unconditionally. Where is the balance? There is joy in marriage when you start doing it correctly. And that'll show itself pretty soon if you take control. So, can your marriage be saved? That really should be the question that you're asking. And the answer is, I don't know. It really depends on how far things have gone. Has she asked you for a divorce? Has she moved out? It would be very tough if it's gotten to that point. But if not, you can still fix this, but don't be thrifty at this point. Be serious, be intense, and follow the guidance that works. What can I tell you? We've been doing this for like 20 years and our stuff works. Just read the reviews. So that's what I can tell you. And I hope this is helpful to you. Take a look at some of the other videos, subscribe to the videos, read some of my articles, browse through the website, get help. It isn't going to fix itself. And it's not going to get fixed with a meeting with her or a little change. It won't work. All right, that's it. Blessings to you, blessings to your wife, blessings to your family. Please don't sit on your butt with this one. Make this happen. You can do it. A lot of men have found that they could turn their marriage around, but you got to be really proactive on this. All right. God bless and take care.